Hi everyone, Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. So I wanted to talk about scissor lifts a little bit today because Michael sent me an email, which I really appreciate, Michael, because it just spurs the brain. And we were kind of going back and forth, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a video about this. And this is just 100% my opinion, and I am not a scissor lift expert, but I have played around on quite a few of them. So I'm going to tell you kind of what I like, what I don't like, and we'll just get into it. So back in the day, I started out with a upright. That's what the place I was renting from had, and I didn't know much about scissor lifts, so I just bought what I was using. I told the guy that owned the place, I said, look, I want to buy a scissor lift. He said, hey, that's great for me because I need to rotate inventory. I always got to bring new stuff in. So we made a deal. Unfortunately, he didn't tell me that he was still going to charge me sales tax on top of the price he told me. So that was always kind of a kicker. I didn't have no clue what I was getting into. I bought that upright. What I started finding out was it's hard to find parts for the upright. So some of the major brands, the JLGs and, Genies and any of the other ones, you want to make sure you can find parts for them. So another thing to take in consideration, which I've gotten kicked in the butt many a times on these scissor lifts, is you got to make sure it's really hard, right? But you need proof that the batteries are good. The batteries can be quite expensive. It could be somewhere to between, I think, like $6,000 and maybe $2,000. It just depends on the batteries that it might take and whatnot. It's expensive. That's all I know. So if you're going to buy a scissor lift, you really need to make sure the batteries are good. I bought one, and we'll get into it. And the guy kind of, pushed it on. It was gravel. And he says, I'll take it. I'll push it on with a skid steer or whatever he had, right? And that should have been a clear indication that, hey, this thing's not holding a charge, right? So as soon as I got back to the shop, it's not working the best. I'm like, what's going on with this thing? So the batteries had to get changed out. So that was a first expense. After I got that one lift for the batteries, right? So the batteries had to get changed out in it. It was a Skyjack. And then the charger decided about maybe a couple weeks later that it wanted to puke out next. So that became a really big issue, and it unfortunately left me stranded at a job. So here's the thing with scissor lifts, honestly, with these kind of pieces of equipment. If you got the money, which sometimes I don't even have the money, I would personally, if you're going to stay in the business and you can do it, buy new. Buy new. And you know why I say that? Because I've learned over the years that these rental companies, that's what they do. They buy them new. They use them for, I think, right around about a 3 to 4 year mark, and they want to dump them. And the reason they want to dump them is because the motors start getting weak. The batteries is what's a big one, right? So then the batteries, the cables are starting to get corrosion on them. The tires are starting to get worn down. So they just want to move it out, right? They've already skimmed off the top, got the niceness out of it basically, and now they want to kick it down the road. So even on my second one, which was a Genie, we thought it was weak, and we ended up changing batteries in that one too. And that cost some money, and it wasn't quite that. There's different versions of them for motors and weight. So you gotta want to make sure you pay attention to that. So right here is another thing. I didn't know this until I was going to purchase a new one. I was really close to buying a new one, and I backed out at the last minute. But what I learned from the sales rep guy is he said, well, which capacity do you want? And I was like, capacity? What are you talking about? I want this certain model. It fits through doorways. I want this one. You can see right here where my mouse is. This one is, right here is a good example. This is a 26-foot scissor lift. It does a 500 capacity or it does a 1,000-pound capacity. And that's for the lift, right? That's for all your springs, your tools, 2 guys in the lift. I would highly, highly always recommend go with the higher capacity. That's something when I bought my second one, well, it'd be my third, I never paid attention to that. And so there has been so many times you put a couple commercial springs up there, you put a few tools, you got 2 guys in there, and the scissor lift doesn't want to lift you up. So it's very important to pay attention to the lifting capacity. That's one of those things that you need to figure that out before you even buy this thing. So I personally and I would like to hear from you guys that watch the video. If you're a subscriber or just a pass-through type person, I would like to hear your opinion because I personally like the Genie lifts. The Genie lifts just seem like they're more reliable. They're built better. I've talked to service techs about it where I used to rent the maintenance guys in there. They all agreed that they like the Genies better. And like I said, but here's the thing. You can see right here, I'm on a set of forks and a pallet, right? any scissor lift for the most part, right? As long as it's in good physical condition and it works properly, is a heck of a lot better than a ladder. I don't care what it is. I will take an upright. I will take a JLG. I will take a skyjack. I will take anything besides a wobbly ladder, right? It's a lot safer. So just keep that in mind. So, but I've personally had good luck with the Genies. There's certain models that the controls I like better than others. And the newer ones have gotten a little bit more finicky, where you always have to push the buttons to make it the joystick reactivate, which kind of irritates me. So like our Skyjack, what I don't like about our Skyjack is I don't like the fact that it's herky-jerky. The wheels turn real sharp. It's very primitive. It gets the job done, but it's been in the shop a heck of a lot more than the Genie ever has, and it just seems a little bit more touchy. It would be great to hear your guys' opinion because, and if you can give a little bit of a description in the, the comments below, it'd be very helpful for everybody, even including myself, because I haven't ran all of them. But like I said, the Genies just seem to be a lot more tuned better. They seem like they're better quality. They seem like they don't have as many moving parts, and whatever they have that you interact with is a little bit more user friendly. Like I said, with the Skyjack that I have, I've had control problems. I've had battery problems, and it's an older machine. Don't get me wrong, but it's gone into the shop many times, and the guy says, you got to oil this. It's this thing. It's the problem. So there's just a lot of finicky little parts to it where the Genie just seems like it's better built. I also noticed when I was going to go purchase them that typically the Genies were a little more expensive. So I'm always kind of a person that sometimes, you pay a little more, you get a little better. You know what I mean? So not always in scenarios, but in the Genies, like I said, I just really personally like the Genie openers, or I'm sorry, not the Genie opener. I like Genie openers too, but I like the Genie scissor lifts. And a lot of the guys that have worked for me express the same thing. It seems like all of them would want to go on a Genie versus any other brand. So, but they all get the job done. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's just, I know sometimes you're on a budget, but sometimes if you can squeeze a little bit more, another $500, another $1,000, maybe you can find something. But pay attention. Like I said, go through it. If you don't know, maybe ask them too. Say, hey, can I have this, taken somewhere and serviced, or what's the records on? That's why I typically like going through a rental place. I'm not saying it's the best, but when I bought the Skyjack through a guy that was kind of in a barn type thing, it didn't turn out very good. He refurbishes them. He was kind of taking parts from other stuff. Did I get a discount? Absolutely. But it wasn't, I just don't recommend it. I think sometimes where I've gotten in trouble with scissor lifts is once I finally decided to pull the trigger or I had the money, I didn't spend the time to really go through them. Just remember that sometimes hour meters aren't real accurate. They could be pulled. They could be switched out. So maybe, you really need to go look at the condition, and just remember that these things are extremely dangerous, especially if you got employees. That's a huge liability. I mean, they're supposed to be painted. I mean, the paint's supposed to be up to certain pars on them. They're supposed to have all the stickers. They can't leak nothing. The tires need to be in certain specs. They need to be inspected annually. And, the batteries need to be in a certain condition. I mean, everything you can think of, these things need to be up on par. That's why, honestly, if I was to go back into it, we use ours way too much probably, but in a nutshell, and maybe we might, we got the trailer. As long as you got a good trailer that can accommodate it, we might entertain it again. We might lease. And like I said, it was around $400, between $400 and $500 a month. And to have that reassurance that if it breaks, they're going to come out and fix it. They're going to give us a new one. You don't have to worry about this thing, is a really nice peace of mind. I know it sucks to pay, the $400 or $500 or $600, whatever it's going to be a month. But like I said, you're getting something brand new. It's a tool. If you're using it all the time, you can take it somewhere without worrying about blowing a hydraulic line, getting hydraulic fluid all over the concrete. There's a lot of things that go into it. Your employees are in a nice, brand new machine, safe. It's all up on the safety parts. It's got an annual inspection, which gets included into that. So there's a lot of things, because if you're busy, like I was, it's hard to get that stuff. You got to take it somewhere. You got to make an appointment. And now it's like they're gunning, right? They're gunning for something to be wrong because they want to get in your pockets and get your money. So my opinion is I honestly would just lease it. And have that peace of mind, just to know that you got a nice piece of equipment. Like I said, get yourself a good trailer. I screwed up. I had a hunky junky trailer that was really dangerous. We got these nice galvanized trailers. If you want to know more about it, you can always email me and maybe I'll go a little more into it, but it's hard to pack everything into a consolidated little video here for you without it getting too long. So like I said, battery conditions, tires, there's a lot of things to look into. Take your time. You know what I mean? Don't go into the mindset you're not going to buy it. And right now, as of, February 6th, 2024, the market's going down. You know what I mean? Don't be in a rush. There's going to be plenty. I mean, plenty. You've probably still got another year, 2 or 3 before things start curving back the other way. That this stuff's going to be on fire sales. There's going to be a lot of deals out there. So don't feel rushed, So I hope that helps. Like I said, I probably missed a ton of things. Comment below. Shoot me an email to daveadubson@gmail.com. Like I said, I put in the description below. If you don't mind, hit that like button on your way out. Become a subscriber. And thank you. We'll see you on the next one.